Oh, okay. Oh, well, look who just dropped by. Hello, folks. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, you can move your bench.
Oh, okay. The stool?
Yeah. It's a little heavy there.
There. How do we look? We look good?
That looks good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, howdy again, folks. Welcome back. Lots of things have happened since the last time we talked.
Who are we?
I'm sorry?
Who are we?
Yeah, I'm about to get to that.
Oh, we're getting to that.
So, anyways,
Wow.
here we go.
This is the cue cards today.
Yeah, well,
They're real professional shows.
last time I was just so disorganized. The brain just, But anyways.
Now he's overcompensating.
I might overcompensate here. I might need placards. But anyways, this is
Mark.
And I am Elmer, and we are
Marc and Elmer's PSI. Piano Scene Investigations.
Looking out for you, and hearing out for you, and reading out for you. Are they back? Oh.
And Grogu's here, and Eager. You know, he's Dimitri's nephew and kind of our god nephew, who's living here with us. And then Eager got him a pet, the Tuki. So say hi, guys.
Oh! Hey, boys. So, anyways, watch our program, listen to it. If you like what you see or heard, please comment, like, and subscribe. Meanwhile, if you're having trouble with your cleaning up your piano,
you ever going to get any compensation for this?
I don't know.
This is like, what's our version of the powder milk biscuits on the old Prairie Home Companion? Remember that Wisconsin public or Minnesota public radio with that guy, that American Polo guy with the glasses.
Oh gosh,
Garrison Keillor.
Oh, Garrison Keillor. Okay.
And they used to do a commercial for powdered milk biscuits.
Powdered milk biscuits.
Yeah, it was a completely made up thing. It didn't even exist. This is a real product.
This is a real product, though. Yeah. No, I don't know. Should we do it?
Yeah.
For this? Okay. Anyways, let's say we've done rap. We've done film on. Oh well. Okay. Here. Ding 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 ding. Having trouble with your honey. Ding 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 ding. Spray this Corey, make it shiny. Ding 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 ding. Step back, rag, and move that rag. Swing and fro. Bling bling bing 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 bing. Step right back and watch it glow. Corey shine. How's that?
Wow. You didn't prepare that?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I just came up with this.
Wow.
So I'm doing the best I can, but it's Corey. Okay, piano, polish.
He is like a music jukebox. He plays things by memory and makes stuff up and things like that. So.
Make stuff up.
You can even make up commercials.
No, I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
I'm not sure that would pass.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
That's
I
good.
doubt it very much.
And yeah, it's good for you to keep your piano clean. Do not use furniture polish in general to spray kind of crap on a piano finish, because all it's going to do is smear like crazy. It'll look like your kids came in with peanut butter on their hands and just like hand painted your piano.
Yeah.
My dad loved real lemon oil, the old stuff, really stuff. Used to use that, and this is a kind of like that. It's an adaptation Isn't it? It does have real oil in it, doesn't it?
Well, I think so. I think so. It also has line items for cleaning, the keys as well.
Oh, wow.
So
you gotta look. Yeah, because standard furniture products won't work. Your piano wood is actually alive. Even if it has the finish on it, it's still living and breathing.
Yeah.
And the oil helps, like soak into the pores, and then it makes it real happy and everything. And you'd be surprised how much dirt it lifts out of. Not so much an enamel piano, really, but a real wood finish piano. My dad he charged more money, of course, but he polished piano. It'd take a while to do it. But he'd get his rags out and start to wipe it in and rub it in and all that. And these rags would be filthy, dirty, black. Sure that just was the dirt it was pulling up out of the wood, So.
Not good. Well, anyways, I don't know if this has, well, all right. Today's June 19th, 2025, and you have a birthday today. You share the same birthday as a Johann Wenzel Stamitz. He was born in 1717.
Stamitz was one of the originators of the real classical period music.
Mm-hmm.
They created what was called the rocket, that kind of thing. It's a big change from Bach and the late Baroque or highly crusted ornamentation into very simple Greco-Roman ideas that were influencing literature, painting, architecture, and all that. Stamitz was one of the early ones that contributed to the development of the classical symphony as such. Mm-hmm. Haydn was one that took off from there.
Yeah, they let's see. They have he was the Bohemian violinist, conductor, and composer. Mainly the conductor of the Mannheim Symphony.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if Johann was the father or the son, because
there
was two of them.
Yeah.
The other one was Karl, and whichever
I think
one was
Johann is the one who's famous with this movement.
Yeah,
Johann Stamitz.
Yeah. And he was, as a composer, he was fond of this one compositional device that musicologists have called the Mannheim steamroller, in which involved the lower strings going boom, 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 while the upper strings went, and it gave sort of the effect of a steamroller, even though they didn't have steamrollers back then. But anyways, it was a clever device, and it used to excite the audiences.
Which one is the Mozart symphonies, although it's a later one?
Yeah, this Opus G minor.
Is that the 41st?
40
or 40? Number 40.
I think it's 40.
41st of Jupiter.
Yeah.
That's his 40th symphony, but that was a construction idea for melody that Stamitz and then came up with up there in Germany.
Yeah.
And the Viennese adapted that stuff pretty quick because it was very popular.
Yeah. You know who else used it? Beethoven.
Yeah.
The first sonata, F minor. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, well, I don't know. Maybe our viewers here already know that piece. I mean, they're
that minor sonata.
Yeah. So, but anyways, onward with the birthdays we have today. Born in 1854, Alfredo Catalani. Now, I don't mean he's alive, but Italian composer.
Yeah, wrote some opera stuff and some songs later in the 19th century. Yeah,
you've heard of him?
Catalani, yeah.
Wow,
some nice stuff.
Okay, well, anyways, that is it for birthdays. Now, moving onward. Some of you haven't been aware yet, but yesterday, the 18th, the world lost one of its.
I think it was the way I saw it. Was it the 17th or the 18th?
I thought it was.
We learned about it later because it happened in Europe. But go ahead.
Okay.
Could have been the 18th. Yeah.
It could. Well, all right. Well,
I think I saw a thing from England that said it was the 17th. But whatever.
Okay, whatever. Yeah. Anyways, we've lost our dear pianist Alfred Brendel. He was 94. He was born in 1931. So, anyways, so we have quite a bit of information about him. If you don't have one of these books,
What did you got?
this is Art of the Piano.
Ooh,
I brought this
I don't
here.
have that.
It's by David DeBall, compilation of composers, pianists, compositions. It's a great book. But this is my reference book when I want to look up pianists. And today, I looked up Alfred Brendel. And I realized, I've been listening to him for almost my entire life, and don't really know that much about the man himself.
My phone. Go ahead and talk.
Okay. Anyways,
I'll be right back.
born 1931. He's from Czechoslovakia. He studied with some local teachers, and in 1949, he received a 4th prize at the Busoni competition in Bolzano. Yeah, excuse my Italy. I'm Italian. I'm not Italian. So, during the 1950s, he made many recordings, including the first complete set of the Beethoven piano music. That's everything, folks. Everything, including those sonatinas. For this effort, he was given the Grand Prix du Disque. His book, Musical Thoughts and Afterthoughts, appeared in 1976. Brendel has played the complete cycle of Beethoven sonatas in many of the world's major capitals, and in 1983 he was the first pianist since Schnabel to play all 32 in Carnegie Hall. These recitals were the best Beethoven playing I have heard from him. Now, this is coming from David DeBall. Intense and often moving. Especially good were the earlier sonatas. The world now sees Brendel as one of its supreme Beethoven players. He has recorded the sonatas twice. While both versions have points of interest, they are different in many respects. In the early set, there is a vital flow and an unself-consciousness that is absent from much of the sonically superior second version. Anyways, it goes on and talks about a few pieces, mostly Beethoven sonatas. He's recording some Mozart. Here's some Bach, Schubert. In his youth, some of you youngins may not know this, but in his youth, he has recorded Balakirev's Islame, Stravinsky's Petrushka, and some Chopin. Let's see. Well, it doesn't say it in here, but he has also recorded the Mussorgsky's pictures at an exhibition. So, but anyways, my first introduction to Alfred Brendel, I believe, was when I was about 12 years old. And I was at the library and I found his vinyl record of Franz Liszt's Hungarian Rhapsodies. Not all of them, but about a good dozen or so. And that was pretty much about it. I don't know if I've ever listened to him play any Chopin, but I did see his name quite often associated with Bach, Mozart, Haydn, Beethoven, Liszt, Schumann, Schubert, all of those. Now, I do remember listening on the radio, Piano World, which was hosted by Paul Humes. He did a special program on pianists, and one particular Sunday afternoon, he did talk about Alfred Brendel, and he played a few of his recordings. He played some Webern, some Busoni. I remember particularly some Busoni he played. It was either a toccata or a toccatina. It's one of those two. So, but anyways, there you have it. That's all I have for about as far as Alfred Brendel. But I know you're quite connected with Alfred Brendel.
Well, I pulled some things out from my library to share with you, just so you could see what he's meant to me, and I'll tell you a couple stories, but I won't spend a ton of time. You want to show him that big box first. So, Elmer and I have talked about many times Camelot Music record store at the mall, his in Findlay, mine in Springfield. And they had a decent classical section back in the day. So this was one of my early purchases as a teenager, from 14, 15 years old, something like that. It's from Murray Hill Records, which I subsequently discovered and ordered things from additionally through the mail. Murray Hill is a subway station in New York City. And it's an older kind of part of the town. But they put together, a catalog of things that they released. But this is everything that Beethoven wrote for the piano. Yeah. So it's all the sonatas, the concerti, as he said, even those little dinky sonatina pieces, variations. The other odd pieces like the polonaises. And some the Rage Over the Lost Rage Over. Yeah. All those little pieces that are in that one volume that I have from Henley, which has collected all of those other piano pieces of Beethoven, including the bagatelles and things like that.
Look at this. A rondo in B flat for piano and orchestra.
Yeah. Anything with piano and orchestra he wrote in addition to what we know about. But it's an amazing collection. It was done in the 50s. I was talking to Elmer a little bit beforehand. The really incredible thing is, there's how many records? 21 records in this box. Now, this is from the recordings that were made in the later 50s, I believe. So I don't know if they were released all together like that. Probably not. Mm-hmm. But, Brendel studied with Edwin Fischer, who was, we have a bunch of his recordings and stuff. We've spoken about him before. He was he was a Swiss pianist, but he spent a lot of time in Germany, including playing in the Nazi years.
Are we talking about Brendel or
his teacher, Edwin Fischer?
Yes.
So, after the end of the Second World War, the Allies prevented certain artists who were associated with the Nazis from being able to perform for a while. So even though Furtwängler had, really forthrightly stood against the Nazis the whole time and early on refused to allow them to get rid of Jews in the orchestra, Berlin Philharmonic, stuff like that, he was, I think, put out for 5 years total, wasn't it? And removed from the Berlin Philharmonic, and then he was allowed to continue. He did just a little bit more time, but he didn't come back. I don't know if he came back to the Philharmonic, but he did famously conduct near the very end of his career a Valkyrie. I don't think it was the entire ring, but he did the Valkyrie at La Scala in Italy. And I forget the name of the guy he married, Walter Legge, I think it was, who brought von Karajan over and stuff like that. Anyway, they found places for Edwin Fischer, even though he's a Swiss citizen, he had performed in Germany, and so they said, we're going to put you on the side bench for a while. He said, well, I have this incredible student, and he was only 14 years old at the end of the war. He had nothing to do with any of his crap. He's wonderful. So he went on to win some competitions of Mozart and stuff. But he started to record, and he did a lot. And part of it is because, lucky man, all those artists who were either killed by the Nazis, all the Jewish ones, or the European ones that were killed serving in the military or killed as civilians, there was a dearth of great activity that wasn't highly associated with that which had been part of the whole Nazi empire for a while in Europe. And so Mr. Brendel got busy and he started making records like crazy. Yeah. Because that was going to be the new thing. Thanks actually to development of audio technology in the Second World War, for example, magnetic tape, was something that was developed because of the war, and then it was used for music making afterwards. But people had records going back to the early 20th century, but usually wealthy people owned those old cranky Victrolas and stuff, and the records were heavy. Yes. God, I've got like Arthur Snow and Rachmaninoff and Bernstein 78s. Yep. The box is like this thick,
Exactly.
and it weighs as much as a 20-pound turkey.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty heavy stuff. That wasn't really accessible, and so between the rock music development in America in the 50s, and then them moving to vinyl recordings, a lot thinner and easier to use. It didn't have that steel plate inside,
No.
And the magnetic tape for recording stuff. People really started to purchase music on records and things. This is a big deal. And Brendel became one of the big stars. Not that he was super known immediately, and I didn't know who the guy was. When I bought this box, you know, okay. But what was important to me is, oh my God, this is awesome! And I can get it only for this amount of money. You know? And it wasn't wild back in those days. This was this was like mid-70s or late 70s when I got this thing. So I probably paid $30 for it or something like that, you know, maybe.
Yeah, which was a lot of money back in those days.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I mean, an album would cost you $6 to $7, right?
Oh, back then?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Classical?
Classical. I'm going to guess like teens. I'm thinking
that much for one record.
For one record.
Wow. So so this is 21 of them.
Yeah.
The box. So it was a big deal. Yeah. At the time, it came down to like $1.25 a record. You know, which you couldn't touch.
That's pretty close.
And amazingly, and Brendel himself actually liked the acoustic reality of the recordings, and they're mono, but they're they're good. So that was a big thing for me to have, and I listened to a lot of this stuff. My God, I've learned a lot of Beethoven repertoire I never heard before because of this. And then subsequently, Camelot started to introduce Angel and Seraphim from England, and you get all those European artists that had been connected with Britain, and that's when I first then discovered Arthur Schnabel's complete sonatas. But I had Brendel's before this. Brendel's was my first. And that wasn't the first record I had of Beethoven sonatas, but this was the first big one. And then I bought the 4 separate volumes of Schnabel's complete sonatas. Then I also have the variation box set as well. And then, of course, I got them on CD now as well. I wanted to tell 2 private stories, and then we'll go through this crap really quick.
Let's talk about this
in a minute, because that's a more recent writing.
Okay.
I met Mr. Brendel twice. I didn't have time to look for the picture. I'm sure I still own it. But when I was 18 years old and a high school senior, and I'd studied German for 3 years, I think, found out that Alfred Brendel was playing in Columbus, Ohio. I was in Springfield at Mershon Auditorium, this huge, mammoth auditorium. I mean, it's like the whole upper portion of the baseball seats in the stadium are really steep, way up, and the monster piano is down there in the middle. That's about this big on the stage. It's a weird place. I mean, the acoustics were good. But it was a place that was built for early 20th century attendance, where, how many, you think a couple thousand people at least?
Probably,
in there?
At least.
But the stage is like wide enough for
2 orchestras.
At
least.
As I remember, I saw Rostropovich there with his daughter, and he was up on a big box thing, and she was behind it. And Rostropovich is a big guy, He still looked like he's going to be the guy walking around on the stage. Anyway, Brendel played all Schumann concert, the Chrysleriana. That was inspiration for me to start to learn that eventually. But I don't remember all, but I do remember the Chrysleriana in particular. Anyway, I had handwritten on regular white line paper a letter to Mr. Brendel in English, in German. In German. And, the best I could do back in the day before having access to computer and stuff like that. But I studied hard and knew my stuff. I had my dictionary, my books and things. But I told him that I was in school and I studied German and I was going to study music seriously and was thinking about becoming a concert pianist. And, just want to let him know that he was one of my heroes. So I put it in a business white envelope and put it inside my suit jacket. I had a 3-piece polyester burgundy colored suit on. Very geeky, and I had my always there in the in the shirt pocket my pencils, glass case. Anyway, I went to the concert. I was alone. I drove myself. My mom gave me the VW Beetle to drive to Columbus, Ohio to do it. I bought my own ticket by myself and everything.
Wow.
And then when the concert was over, I went back to the green stage area behind the stage and met him. And for the first time, he was very tall.
Yeah.
6'2" or better. 6'3", 6'4". I'm not sure. He was a tall guy. Oh, he was pretty lean. Yeah. And he had a kind of a clownish looking face. He had a very easy smile, you know, and very expressive big eyes, you know. And I walked up to him, and of course, I'm 5'8", 5'9". Not, I don't think I ever hit 5'10". So it's like this, and I was so, you know, excited about singing, but I didn't say a word. I don't even think I said congratulations. I just put my hand out, shook it, and then I reached in my pocket and I gave him this business envelope, and I handed it to him, and he took it. He looked at me, kind of thing, like, and I think I did say Dankeschön, you know, or something, thank you. You know, and then I walked away. I didn't know he spoke English. What do I know coming from Springfield? You know? Turns out he lived most of his adult life in England. Yeah. Right? Especially had a Georgian townhome in London and everything. Anyway, 6 years later, I think, when I was in the master's degree, 24 years old, that makes sense. Yeah. 24, 25 years old. I was studying with Howard Karp, and Howard was the artist professor at Wisconsin. He'd replaced Gunnar Johansson eventually, and he'd studied it with Rosina Levine and had been classmates with Van Cliburn at Juilliard. Anyway, he hosted Mr. Brendel there, and Mr. Brendel used Howard's office to practice in when Howard was done teaching. It was pretty amazing because Howard had a German Hamburg Steinway and a Bösendorfer in his piano, in his room. Those are his two instruments. And they were big. They were at least 7-footer kind of things. They weren't concert grands, but they were big pianos. And the Fine Arts Building had everything. It had music, art, and all this stuff in it. I think even some other humanities classes. And it was built during, well, before, but going into the anti-Vietnam War protests. The very first ones in the nation in the United States were in Madison, Wisconsin. Mm. And they were building stuff at the time, and this thing was like a fortress, huge, multi-story, and it really did look like a fortress. There was no like big, huge windows that people could break. Instead, they were at angles and, you know, small, tall windows and things, and they had little inner like courtyard kind of areas where the sun could come down in and stuff. But it was a fortress. But the rooms were really good size and they were decent, and Howard had a nice space, you know, and they had these really solid, thick oak doors in the door frames. So the concert that Mr. Brendel played in Madison was the D major and G major Schubert sonatas. Ooh. So he was practicing in Howard's room, and I went up there just to listen, because some of the students would go stand outside the door just to hear him. When I was there, I was alone, and what was amazing, I was standing next to the door, and the sheer power of the sound he was creating in there. The door was shaking in the frame. It was like the air was pushing it at its maximum against the frame, and then it would, you know, be. I don't ever remember that before, but I remember that about him practicing. Like, holy God, you know, it's a humongous sound. Bum, ba, 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 you know, like that. So anyway, we went to concert. It was fabulous, you know. And then Howard took me up with him. He said, "Come on," because I had told Howard this story about the first time I met Mr. Brendel. And he thought, "Oh, that's so charming. That's so we got to go meet him. We got to go talk to him." So I think Howard and I sat together actually. And then after we were done, we went back up and this is the old performance hall, which is a separate building now, or it had been used by the opera division of the music school. They put on the operas and things there, a big old stage and stuff. It's where Gunnar did all of his lectures and things when he was at the university. But there was a smaller kind of green room space up there. We went back up these kind of rickety stairs and up in there. And there was Mr. Brendel, He didn't look that much different. It had only been 6 years or so. Tall as all get out. And Howard was tall.
Yeah.
I think he was taller than Howard. But he had this big smile on his face and everything. And Howard kind of pushed me forward. And now I had more confidence. I had more confidence. And I introduced myself. I shook his hand. He had a good size hand.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
And I said, Ich bin der Briefschreiber. I am the letter writer. Now, Howard had told him about me.
Yeah.
I was studying with him there. And he said, yeah, I heard. He said, and he immediately spoke English.
Yeah.
With me. He did answer some in German.
Yeah.
But he said, let's use English. And I was pleased. But he had an English accent a bit when he spoke, But he said, I remember you, and I remember that because he said, it was such a strange thing. This young man shows up and hands me a white envelope, and he said, they quit paying me after the concert years before that. I never saw the money. The management would collect it. I get a check in the mail or in the deposit in the bank account, stuff like that. And I said, what is this? I thought, did they mess it up or something? So this is my paycheck for the concert? So when he was back in his hotel room, he took it out, and he opened it up, and he saw my letter. And he said, I was just so touched. It was so charming and so sweet. Because what had happened, about 6 weeks after that first concert I attended in Columbus, I got this wonderful, oversized envelope, gray, that said Columbia Artist Management on it. It was hard, so I had a piece of cardboard in it. And I opened it up, and I pulled it out, and there's a black and white 8x10 picture of Mr. Brendel at the piano, and he personally signed it to me. So somewhere out there, I think in my storage, there's a signed photograph of Mr. Brendel. But that was my experience with him, and I've always revered the man. To be honest, and this is not in any ways disrespect meant to be disrespectful. And I'm not. Okay, if I am a master, then I'm my own master, okay? And I've got to a certain level, and I play things the way I want to do. Rubinstein was my huge hero.
Yeah.
But I play more like his predecessor, or want to play more like his predecessor, Ignaz Friedman. Became very attracted to the later 19th century, more improvisatory and, almost athletic and magical kind of light fingered and kind of wonderful playing like that. Not quite the same straightforward, good tempo, good, even stuff Rubinstein kind of playing, right?
Yeah.
Which is still magnificent. I still love Rubinstein. And then as I got into Schubert in my own way and playing it, sometimes I found Mr. Brendel a little too driven sometimes, a little bit more Beethoven-ish approach. But that is a legitimate, older and established way of playing Schubert. But there were other people who played Schubert who don't play him that way. Right. And I've been drawn to that because I think of Schubert as the songwriter and a very different personality than Beethoven.
Oh, much.
Very much so. So, especially when one of my goals now, I'm almost reaching it, to play both sets of the impromptus and the Momento Musico and have them totally learned. And I played a few sonatas. I've never performed the G major and the D major. I want to make sure I play those. I played the late A major. And I thought, for my own sake, I want to play the B flat. I don't know if I'd ever play it well enough, frankly, to perform it for anybody. But I'm very close to finishing the Schubert. And I played all the smaller Schubert works, including the Drei Klavierstücke, which were very late works. And I'm not totally sold on the way Mr. Brendel plays them, because they seem a little square. Now, some people go, well, who the hell are you? Brendel, And some people worship the ground that the guy walked on, as I did in a kind of way too. But anyway, I wanted to pull out some other things that I have in my collection. This isn't everything, but that box set of Beethoven was first one, and then This is the Brilliant Classics and that particular, this Bach album.
This is Brilliant Classics?
Yeah.
Oh, it is Brilliant Classics.
Yeah. Show them that, and especially the backside, they can see some of the composers.
Okay.
So this is a big Brilliant Classics collection. This is a nice thing about the old Brendel recordings. You can get a hell of a lot of stuff, not too much money, and there's a lot of repertoire and great performances.
Look at that repertoire.
So this is a lot. I mean, there's a ton of Beethoven in there. Just that. He ultimately did 3 Beethoven concerto series. The last one was with the Vienna Philharmonic, and he had specifically asked for Simon Rattle to be the conductor in those. I haven't heard those.
Piano Concerto by Schoenberg.
Yeah. And he did some interesting things. I saw, there was an article, I think I sent it to you, when it took him a while for Salzburg to invite him to play at the festival.
Yeah.
Then eventually did a lot of stuff. His very first performance at the Salzburg Festival was the Ernst Krenek second piano concerto at G minor. And then this one I like because for me this is a little unusual. I mean, we think of the Vienna classics, and of course he was very well known for Haydn. Well, yes, but that's not a Liszt. He was a big Liszt player. But this is a CD that he does, and I really like it. Of some of the standard big works of Johann Sebastian Bach, including the Italian Concerto, and it's one of my preferred performances on modern piano. I really like it. Then I wanted to show these.
Okay.
These are the 3 late piano sonatas. These are videos.
Oh.
And this is this wonderful recording he did of the entire Année de Pèlerinage, where he rented that little church in London and did all video performances of the whole thing.
Schubert.
Those are the last 3, the C minor, A major, and the B flat major sonatas on video. And then this, I imagine you can get all this stuff on YouTube, but this is the complete Année de Pèlerinage. Now this he recorded later in his career. I don't know if they're from the 80s maybe, or even the 80s probably, because he retired a little earlier than that. But he rented this lovely church, and they put his piano in there and everything, and he got all set up, and he'd just go in every day and record some pieces until they finally get it all done. Yeah, he was younger in this one anyway. But then,
not as young when he did.
No.
Have you seen the picture in that one?
Yeah.
Gosh, can I show him?
Yeah. It's in the book, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I have to show it. Here's Alfred Brendel. Holy moly. Yeah, he was a younger whippersnapper when he came out with this Beethoven. Oh, look at this one. It looks like a very inquisitive individual. Maestro Brendel.
Yeah, his own teachers said, the boy's got quite a mind, and
Beethoven in the back.
Quite a thinker, and he remained that way, of course, and developed that kind of reputation, actually.
Yeah.
So, to that end, there's one of his books there. I don't have the Music Thoughts and Afterthoughts. I don't think I own that one, do I?
I don't know.
Because I looked over there on the shelf and I immediately went to Brendel, but I don't see that other one. I thought maybe I did, but maybe I don't. But this is a later one he did, called Music Sounded Out. And he retired in his 80s. I think when he was about 83 or 84. He started to have arthritis and decided, that's it. It's not worth it. And come on, this is one of the most prolific and worth it, recording artists in the 20th century.
Copyright 1990.
Yeah.
First edition 1992.
So these are essays that he wrote. And this is something he actually continued to do for the rest of his life. He actually continued to show up at the Salzburg Festival, but as a speaker. And he would give talks and lead conversations and things that people would have about music, things like that. Now, I got this book out early this morning because I was thinking about it. When I woke up, somehow I'd been thinking about Brendel. One of my favorite performances of Brendel.
Oh, yeah?
Really out there. It's a very unfamiliar work. I don't know how many people actually have recorded it, but I have heard some other recordings, and I don't think they begin to approach his recording. Now, it's not on here.
Yeah.
I've got it on an LP somewhere. It's probably in the list section. The Malediction.
Oh, The Malediction.
I read a little bit about this. This is a good book, by the way. Humphrey Searle was Franz Liszt's really first great cataloger. I mean, there's a S period numbers list of all his compositions. That was created by Humphrey Searle. He's a British guy.
For some of you who don't know, the word malediction is actually a curse.
Yeah.
So, basically.
And I read a little bit about it. I didn't know. It's a work for piano and orchestra, but it was conceived earlier on, even when he was a teenager, for strings and piano.
Yeah.
And there's some ideas that were written down, but he didn't apparently bring it to some fruition until he was done with his concert career and was living and working in Weimar, where he was a Kapellmeister at the court there for a period of time. And apparently that's when he put it down on paper and must have performed it there. I think there was some record of it. But the interesting thing is that it was only published 30 years after he died.
Ooh, wow.
It was 30 years before it came out. And then, I don't know, people didn't look too much. And Liszt students, became all the great luminary pianists in the early 20th century. But Liszt himself was kind of regarded by foolish people as kind of the old fart, magician, the devil's assistant, playing all this crap on the piano. There was a infamously terrible short article, in the 1930, was it, edition of Grove's Musician?
Uh-oh, here we go.
You should look it up. It's not very long, and it's very condescending.
Yeah.
To where I have, when I was at the Boston Early Music Festival, as a student, I got a special discount. I bought the incomplete Grove's hardback encyclopedia. I forget it was how many, 20-some volumes. I got it for $800 and some as a graduate student, where the price back in those days was between $2,000 and $3,000. Yeah. But they had a serious student discount on it. So anyway, if you look at the Liszt article in the Groves, at least from 1980, which was a big year when they really reevaluated a lot of their stuff. I mean, Liszt was a serious composer. It was like more than 600. Where are you talking? Schubert's catalog. Now, he lived twice as long as Schubert.
Yeah, twice as long.
More. But still, 600 some works and in all kinds of various things. But I just wanted to say about that Malediction, again, it's from the 50s. It's mono recording. Yeah. It's it's one of those Mephisto waltz kind of pieces. It's all about the devil and all that kind of stuff, right?
The curse.
And it's got the DAC or anything. Da da dee da dee da dum. And but it's a kind of theme and variations of it.
Totentanz.
That's the Totentanz, you're right. Yeah, so there's a Malediction and the Totentanz. But I should say both of those pieces.
Yeah.
The Totentanz is the one I was also thinking about.
Yeah.
They're incredibly fabulous performances.
No, absolutely.
The Totentanz especially.
Yeah.
See, I mean, I don't. Yeah. I said, with Malediction, I don't know how many other people ever play it. Of course, Totentanz people play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like the concerti maybe, but I still think, absolutely, without a doubt, hands down, Brendel's old performance from the 50s, favorite Totentanz ever, because it's vital, it's exuberant, it's scary, the way they play it, and the way he plays, the variations in that thing, it's kind of demonic. I mean, I think
absolutely.
He really captured that Liszt,
the end of the world.
It's the end of the kind of energy.
Yeah.
And, people eventually, I don't know that they really would have, if you didn't know his early career.
Yeah.
Because he still played Liszt here and there, but eventually he became Mr. Beethoven, Mr. Schubert, some Mozart and Einstein. And people just thought he was this kind of worked out of time, kind of amazing representative of the Central European tradition. But he recorded the Islamate.
Yeah,
right?
he did.
And he did Malediction and the Totentanz.
Yeah.
And you know, and like I showed you, much later in his career, you know, I'm going to do this again. And he rented the church with his own money.
Yeah.
Probably the management.
Yeah.
But anyway, this lovely church, which he especially liked the acoustics in, they put up his nice piano he loved in there, and over a period of time, he went in there with his engineers and stuff, and they were the only ones in there because the church wasn't used anymore.
Yeah.
And he just did the entire Honey to Play Nice, and it's a wonderful performance. You know,
Yeah.
his what I'll shut up after this. What he's really known for, in a way, he's very much a more contemporary, later 20th century pianist, in that he really believed in the supremacy of the score.
Oh yeah.
And
Very
you
much
know,
so.
with time and with development of musicologically modern additions, he became a great spokesman for using the most modern kind of sources, because he really felt that everything that, as an artist, you were trained well and you understand the artist's mind, the artist's heart, and you knew the lingo, the
Yeah.
language, and you had enough sense to know traditions of music. You know, that whatever was on the page that had really been put there by the artist, the tempo markings, the expressive details and things like that, that'd be enough. You should be able to figure out what they wanted and how they wanted to do it. He did not, there's a quote I read in the news today.
Yeah.
That it's not for me or anybody as the interpreter to put our stamp on the music and say,
Yeah.
this is the way it should be, or it should have
Been. Yeah.
Or,
Yeah,
if he wrote it right, it would sound like this.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, the idea of what... who's the guy whose Chopin List edition influenced me to play the way I do of that Meine Freude?
Oh, Rosenthal.
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 Some of those great later 19th century ones, they monkeyed around with this stuff. That was
they
tradition.
sure did.
They all, a lot of them did that.
Yeah.
Now Brendel's from a different kind of mind and idea. I think in some ways, probably influenced the German musicologists, the modern ones, even more so the British ones, like Donald Tovey.
Yeah.
Donald Tovey is his name, right?
Donald Tovey. Yeah, Donald.
Yeah. So we lost a really big one. It was an epic lifetime, and the things that he did. I mean, it's interesting. Will he ultimately always be at the very top of the iceberg, or will? I'm not saying he's ever going to be underwater, but where might he be eventually? Because time can be very cruel.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But at least in terms of the volume of material that this man recorded and left behind, it'd be hard. I mean, let's see, Martha Argerich, she's what, 84 now, 85?
Yeah.
She has a huge recording cycle.
Yeah, his legacy is going to be around for a while. I got a feeling. As a post note about concerning our talk here about Brendel, back in the first decade of the 2000s, I started collecting the International Piano Quarterly, which I believe is published, printed in, I think, in England.
Yeah.
And anyways,
you still find copies of that?
I'm sure they're still out. I haven't.
Not publishing anymore, though, right?
I don't know if they're still publishing, but I used to collect them. Okay, and one of the issues.
Well, we had our own on this side of the pond.
Yeah.
Piano Quarterly for quite a while.
Yeah, Piano Quarterly, but this one's international. Piano Quarterly. This one is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this one. All right. Anyways, in each issue, they had they focused on a particular work. 1 year it was one quarter it was Liszt B minor sonata. Another quarter was Chopin's Etudes. Another one was the best recordings they could find,
Yeah.
and they would discuss each recording.
Yeah.
Well, on one issue, the work was Franz Liszt's B minor sonata, and they had listened to literally. I mean, there was at least 100 entries in that article. And guess who made number one?
Was it Mr. Brendel?
It was Mr. Brendel. So yeah, they said that his insight in it was quite remarkable. And so
I would say he's the kind of guy. I can't believe that there's
Yeah.
any of our listeners really don't
Yeah.
know the Brendel name.
yeah,
But he's definitely worth looking into if you don't know him so well,
Yeah.
to just listen to some of his music. I would say there's something that is, I don't mean this with any disrespect, but
Yeah.
there's something of a bit of a generalist in a way, but he's much better than that. I mean,
yeah,
like your ordinary guy that records Beethoven Sonata, right? Or something
Yeah.
like that. Ordinary artist
Yeah.
that you don't really know their name, but it's a good performance of the Waldstein, okay?
oh yeah,
Brendel's better than that. One might say much better.
oh yeah,
There is sometimes, but see, that's that thing about he himself felt it was wrong to put your own, like, individualized
Yeah.
stamp on the music. But there is something iconoclastic about Brendel. Sometimes you
Yeah.
know. I mean, maybe it's because I've heard the performances or I know them, but I can tell. That sounds like Brendel.
yeah,
So, nonetheless, despite what he said and he thought, but in terms of, say, a kind of a middle range as opposed
Yeah.
to way out there somewhere in terms of interpretation or something, he's a good one to listen to in terms of Haydn, Mozart, Beethoven, Schubert performances. And very interestingly, he gets number one as the
Yeah.
interpreter of the Liszt Sonata.
Yeah.
Because everything is there. Everything that you see in the score has been considered, and worked out and presented in a very artistic, beautifully balanced way that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The one thing I'd say, and it's what Ellsworth wasn't too keen on in some ways, he thought sometimes his sound was not beautiful. And he did tend to play with kind of a bit of a set
yeah,
hand and arm kind of thing a little bit,
Mhm.
which is going to prevent, one might say from the old school, from you close the throat and let you breathe.
Yeah.
So Howard actually started to play that like that later in his life. That he huge tall guy.
Yeah.
Played a lot from the elbow, but not so much movement and freedom in here eventually.
yeah,
Ellsworth was very opinionated, and he was not fond of Brendel's sound,
Mhm.
but he did respect the man's musical authority in terms of what he brought in terms of the interpretation,
exactly.
and very much because Ellsworth was very much an intellectual.
Yeah.
Really appreciated that thinking stamp that he brought to his art. So
Yeah, the Harold C. Schoenberg's great piano.
yes,
Okay, I want to go.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. I see it.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to.
So we're luxuriating in Mr. Brendel here, right there.
I want to see if your copy has this, because. All right.
So they probably bought him about the same time.
Yeah. Some of you youngins, all right, out there who have never heard of the guy, you'll probably find it in this book, The Great Pianist. I'm not
This
sure
is a
that
great
could be.
book, really.
I think
I met Mr. Schoenberg.
Yeah.
He was an asshole. When I met him, he was a great speaker and talked about stuff, but when we went up to speak to him after the lecture in
Yeah.
Madison,
Yeah.
he had to stick up his behind so
Oh.
high he couldn't begin to pull it out.
Oh well. Anyways, I wanted
He
to
had a
see
very high opinion of himself.
if your copy has what I think it might have.
On Brendel, when we look for it.
Hold on.
you
Oh,
got
it doesn't have it.
You don't have it?
It's not in here.
I've got an earlier version of it.
You have an earlier version of this. I mean, there might be a few snippets here about Brendel, but okay, I'll have to go get my copy one of these days and I'll share it with you. But it's interesting.
It was in there.
There's Schnabel. There's a whole chapter on Schnabel. And then the final chapter, Romanticism Still Burns. 20th Century Schools. There's Gieseking. Mira Hess. Michelangelo. Oh, he's not in here. Okay. Well, anyways, if you have the later printing of this book, it's interesting to note that Alfred Brendel and Mauricio Pollini share the same chapter. They're both in one chapter. And when you look at the one chapter, it just has two pianists in it.
He's not even in the index.
Brendel and Pollini.
I got an old one.
Yeah, you do.
Wow.
But that's okay. You know, it's still useful.
This is Simon & Schuster. Mine is 1963.
Yeah.
No, that's not when I bought it. But
But
that was the last time that it had been updated. Probably the original.
Oh, possibly.
63.
But anyways,
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. But anyways, I just had to see if it was in here. If you don't have it, youngins, get this book, okay?
But it sounds like there's a newer edition.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, it's one of my favorite books, and it was probably one of the key influences of my wanting to becoming a pianist. So, anyways, let me go put this back real quick. Well, anyways, so much for that. Today, we haven't done this in a while.
Okay.
As we digress to a new section of our.
Well, I was glad we could talk about Mr. Brendel.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we really should.
You know,
I mean,
he was really. I mean, in the time that I was able to visit with him,
yeah.
Immediately affable. Do you know that word? Is a likable person.
Yeah.
And very interesting because clearly, as an artist and as a scholar, the man was up there on Mount Olympus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, those kind of achievements, and really circling with the Eagles, in terms of what's going on. But he had a wonderful sense of humor, and he could be very present really immediately. Because the second time I met him with Howard, when he said, "I remember you.
I remember you.
You know, your suit and everything. You come in, this young man, and he hands me this white envelope, and I'm thinking, didn't they pay me for this already?" And then the most thoughtful thing, because I didn't ask him for anything.
Yeah.
I just wanted to write one of my heroes and say, you know, this is me in my life, and I'm going to try to make a go of things. And I get this autographed picture from him through his management in America, Columbia Artists.
Yeah.
And I forget what it says on it. I'll dig it up and bring it postscript to the next show or something.
All right. Anyways, let's digress with our next part of our program here. PSIs, all pieces considered.
Ooh.
We haven't done this in a while.
Yes.
What's that little noise? Okay, we're ready. It's ready. I do wish where that typing's coming from.
It's that little guy.
Is it
It's the same fella.
Okay. I would imagine. He does that every single time. It never fails.
Yeah.
Anyways, I want to introduce this work to you. I just found this. This is a work by Isidore Philipp. Sort of. It's an arrangement of Chopin's Black Key Etude.
Who's Isidore Philipp?
Yeah, check this out.
Where did you get this? This is fresh.
Yeah, it is fresh. I found it over at Half Price Books, and they sold it to me for like $2.
But it's a beautiful shape.
It is.
Musica Obscura Editions. I know that.
Yeah.
Are these guys from New Hampshire? But maybe that's not the only bit. I have a whole bunch of. I showed it to you one time.
Yeah,
all
you did.
those copies.
Yes, you did.
But I thought I ordered them from Oregon. I thought they came from Oregon, but I thought that was the name.
Yeah.
Maybe they moved their
Yeah.
location. Holy crap.
Yeah. I knew he was going to get a reaction
Oh, man. This piece is tough enough. I like to play it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a really
Yeah,
fun
it's a
piece
good-
to do. Zipping along with black keys. You know?
Yeah.
Da, 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 bum, bum, bum. Oh, yeah. But
Yeah.
holy crap, guys. And this is my least favorite etude
Oh, it is?
of all. This etude sixths.
Oh, is that?
Screw it. It was
Yeah.
25. No, I don't play it.
Yeah.
No way. No. And that's more or less what this is.
Oh,
Show him.
All right,
He
I'll
takes the G flat etude from Nova Scotia.
Yes, this is the black key.
Turns it into a sixth.
Yeah, look at this.
Oh my gosh.
Talk
Did
about
you try to play
ridiculous.
it all?
Yeah, I got through the first page and that was it. I couldn't handle it anymore. I mean, I tell you, it sort of, it does put a little unneeded tax in your right hand, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, and then when you get to the scale near the end before the coda,
Yeah.
let me see if we can find that. There it is. Look at that. Look at that right there. Right here. The scale before the final coda, it's in octaves, folks. Why would he do that? I mean, I suppose you could do it. Maybe use two hands. So, I mean, look at that. You know this passage.
Yeah.
It's may as well, two hands. But anyways, now, I don't want to spend too much time on this work. There's a work here I've wanted to bring in for a while that I haven't had a chance to, and I think it deserves a showing. This is a sonata for piano
This guy's face.
by Robert Campana.
Oh. I've seen his face before, though.
Well,
Huh.
yeah,
Is that the guy?
this is the guy, Robert Campana.
No, I know it. He doesn't really, but at first glance, I thought it looks a lot like Malcolm Wilson. A little bit.
Malcolm Wilson?
Not really. But when I saw him do some features.
I don't know. I've never seen a picture of Malcolm Wilson. Here's the sonata, and here's the composer. So, Campana, yeah. I don't know, Campana or
Capana.
Campana. He's, he's in 1952 Camden, New Jersey. But anyways, here, you can look at that.
Good Italian boy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, no kidding. So, anyways, here's what we have on
For Lowenthal.
Robert Campana. So, born 1952, still alive.
Right.
Born in Camden, New Jersey. Studied in Philadelphia. He is a trombonist. Received his Bachelor and Master of Music degrees in composition from the Philadelphia Music Academy. He was the student of Joseph Castaldo and Theodore Antoniou. Antoniou? It looks,
I don't
I
know.
don't know, it looks almost Greek. In 1974, he received his fellowship in composition at the Berkshire Music Center at Tanglewood. Interesting. So, there's not much written about him. Like I said, this is a sonata. It's written in 4 movements. The first movement is a moderato con colore, quarter note at 60. The second movement is a lirico rhapsodico rubato, quarter note at 52. The scherzo, third movement. Scherzo, 8th note at 160. Fourth movement is a quasi allegro passionata, quarter note at 80. The work is dedicated to one Jerome Lowenthal.
Yeah.
He told me what that name meant. It was lion something, wasn't it?
The Valley of the Lions.
Valley of the Lions.
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 Actually, what's missing is Löwe, an umlaut over the O.
Okay.
The real German word is Löwen. Eine Löwe is one lion. Löwen is lions. And Tal is valley, or
Valley.
kind of an area between mountains or something like
Okay.
that. Lowenthal.
See,
But we say Lowenthal, don't
I'm
we?
glad I asked
Lowenthal,
it.
yeah.
I thought it was Lion's Tail. Oh, I'm sorry. You're just really tall.
Yeah.
Tail.
That's a good
Like,
guess.
I mean,
That was a good guess.
So, but anyways, believe it or not, I did try to play through this work. Okay, I tried bits and snippets of it. If you've noticed in the last few episodes, I've been bringing in these more modern works. One time it was Ingolf Dahl. The other time was William Pitchper.
Yeah.
Today it's Robert Capana.
Where do you find this stuff?
Well, believe it or not, if you notice the blue sticker, I found this years ago. No, not half price. I found this years ago in the discount slots over at Stanton's.
Oh.
So this was like 75.
Stanton's a decent music store
Yeah.
for us here in Columbus.
Yeah, it still is.
Yeah. They can get you anything if it exists.
Oh yeah.
Not that they always have it in the store, but.
So, but yeah. Anyways, this is written in the. He's one of those octatonic composers. Okay, it's octatonic structures. It's a scale that alternates between semitones and whole tones, all the way through. And this is very representative of that. The other works I brought in, I think one or two of the other ones were like this, sort of. Except this one is different. And I say it when it's different mostly because it has almost the touch, the articulations, the gestures almost have sort of almost like a 19th century compositions. And I mean, even the tempo markings. I mentioned the tempo
They're
markings.
not too fast, except for the
Moderato
scherzo. Yeah.
Moderato con colore, lirico rhapsodico, rubato, a scherzo. It's last movement, folks. Allegro appassionato.
And but it's only quarter note at 80.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot of notes in there to pull.
Oh yeah.
And I noticed in the first movement, some of the times he's on ninths.
Oh yeah.
It was like an A and a G sharp, for example.
Yeah.
I don't tend to approach things too much like that now.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to hurt myself.
Right.
Right. Where when you're young and stupid, you just play anything because it sounds cool and you do it.
Yeah.
And you think you can do anything. Now, there are some pianists like Alicia Del Roca, God bless her.
Oh yeah.
Some of the best Schumann playing anybody ever did. I mean, Corto's wonderful.
Yep.
But her playing is very athletic and wonderful. And then she plays the Fire and some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And she played her own version of the Fire Dance.
Fire dance, ritual fire. Yeah.
And the woman had tiny hands.
Yeah. And then
She's a tiny person.
Yeah, and she could turn around and do the cacciatore piano concerto.
So they're example. I mean, if you want to do it.
Okay.
But this woman, they also said her parents said when she was like 8 years old.
Yeah.
And she was already, quite serious about practicing, loving to play the piano, which was inside the dining room, I guess, separated by French doors.
Yeah.
Well, they just thought, she should go out and play with the other kids and, enjoy the outdoors and stuff. They locked the French doors to the dining area where the piano was. She stood at the doors and banged her head on the door. She didn't say anything, just banged her head on the door. And she was drawing blood. And her friends would say, stop, stop, and she wouldn't stop. So they relented and they opened the door. But that's why a woman with tiny hands can play the Abegg variations of Schumann. Because some of Schumann's stuff, like I talked about, a while back about the toccata. I love the toccata. It's such a fun piece.
Yes.
But if you don't have monkey hands, you can't really pull it off. I mean, Pogorelich blows everybody out of the water because as far as I tell, does he use any pedal at all?
It's
not
hard,
that you know. Okay. Now, but one of the probably most famous recordings is Levine, Joseph Levine, and he uses pedal, but it's very judicious. And the Schumann is based on a Czerny toccata as well.
Sure is.
But it's it's a that's okay. It's a yaga da 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 da. Those little legato passages,
Yeah.
which goes up or comes down,
No. Yep.
those exceed a ninth sometimes,
Yeah, they do.
and I can't do it.
Yeah.
Legato,
Yeah. No
I can't do it.
Yeah. There were, in case some of you don't know, that work was originally in D major. I can believe it. But anyways, the sonata. What can I say about it? I think I've talked about the octatonic gestures that some of these composers use. It can sound immensely difficult, from first hearing. But I come to find that the more you try it, the more you start to find the gist and understand its habits. It's like what you said. I mean, there's ninths in it, and he makes a habit of doing that. He has sevenths, he has ninths, he has augmented thirds, augmented sixths. I mean, everything that's major, just open it up another semitone, and you have an augmented interval. But you get used to hearing it, and you get used to the technical habits of the actual work. The first movement, I'm going to venture to say, is sort of a blown out ABA form. That's what it feels like.
I think the important thing that works, when you leave the realm of harmony.
Yeah.
I mean, we were doing that in the late 19th century with chromaticism. Some people thought that Wagner, particularly as it went on, the later stuff, was almost intolerable. Because it's fundamentally slipping through chromaticism and chords that never really were supposed to be immediately relatable to each other, but they get melded into each other. Well, once harmony finally broke down, then clearly, but it's not necessarily always the case, but for example, in the Viennese school, the second Viennese school, Schoenberg, people like that, they rely very heavily on form.
Yeah.
So sonata form, or variations, or dance, even old Baroque dance concepts of form. Because in our Western minds, our music has to have some certain organization to it,
Yeah,
And so I thought, when I was looking through it briefly, I thought he actually does a good job in the first movement of introducing concept.
Yeah.
Like you do in a traditional, from all the way back to Haydn. First theme, second theme.
Yeah.
Then with Haydn, almost always, in early Beethoven, the development, uses one of those two themes and works with that. And then eventually you get to the recapitulation, and you're done. Mozart would often introduce a new theme, and in the development, yet another theme. Because in his mind, you weren't governed necessarily by the thematic material from the exposition, but you had to bring it back in the recapitulation. And he manages to do that pretty effectively, I think. And then I was remembering, I didn't look too much at Scherzo, because I didn't see it. But the slow movement, if we're going to get to that, go ahead, I interrupted you. But I think two things. If you listen to contemporary music and you're not quite used to it, or it's something new, I often thought it was helpful to have the score.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes it's easier to see the patterns, let's say even the musical mathematics, than it is to hear it. You know what I mean? That helps. But then it looks like in his slow movement, he actually creates a very effective, ambient, plaintive kind of space.
Yeah.
Kind of a calling kind of sound.
Yeah.
It'd be very effective.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what I said. The more hearings and the more you try it. I mean, it took me a while to figure what this was here.
Yeah.
Here, let me show you this, folks. He introduces the theme right there at the very beginning, and he plays around with it quite a bit. And then all of a sudden, over here on the third page, over here, I was often wondering what it does. And the more listenings and the more working out the notes a little bit and then putting it in context with what went before it, I think it's a codetta. Believe it or not, it does. I mean, because the theme comes back over here at the bottom of the page, and here it has it's dying down, and it's just eventually melts into the theme again. See, so. But anyways, as far as the second movement, the slow movement, this one, it sounds funny, but it almost feels like in some parts it feels like the second page to Debussy's Clair de Lune.
Okay.
It does over here, where it becomes chordal at the end. It's only a 3-page movement. The second movement. It's exactly what he says. It's rhapsodic. It's lyrical.
Wow.
A lot of it becomes more more atmospheric, and then the chords come in, and
there's a G sharp in the fifth finger and an A natural on the thumb. The right hand is a C natural going up to a C sharp on the minor ninth.
The interesting about the slow movement is the actual melody is in the alto. There's a few moments in here where the tenor takes over, and so basically you're playing with first, second, and third fingers doing a lot of the melodic playing, while the other 3, 4, and 5 again, doing some of the fancy stuff in the bass, and the right hand doing some of the decorative material.
The way the second movement is written, it reminds me of like a Haydn string quartet, where earlier on the first violin is usually the big boy, the singer, right?
Yeah.
Playing the melody, and then the other instruments are kind of accompanying jump, or blunk, 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 blunk.
Yeah.
But then it has these explosive fortissimo things.
Uh-huh.
A little tiny bit in the first one, but then kind of has some of it there. It's like a condensed version of a Schubert slow movement.
Yeah.
And both Beethoven and Schubert really, the whole sonata thing came out of symphonies, and then Haydn developed string quartet, and then the piano was developing, and there were harpsichord sonatas and stuff, but not the same style. But it advanced enough that by the time you get to Mozart, but especially Beethoven, that you're writing for the keyboard. But the string quartet, when you look at, especially in the slow movement, sometimes it's either that or a lyric thing with accompaniment.
Yeah.
But definitely the scherzo or the minuets. Yeah. Total, like the F minor, the first sonata. Yeah. So that could have been written for string quartet. And this one looks like that in a way, but then what Schubert did, which was always very interesting. I mean, not always so much in the early sonatas, but when I played the big A major, for example, and I was kind of young when I did it, there's this whole like winter wind, explosive kind of middle part of it before it gets back to the very somber kind of slow movement. It's the sadness and then a kind of more human explosion of grief and anger that then, with the release of that, allows you to return to the sadness, which is a different kind now because you've expunged or expelled, some of the worst feelings, the disastrous emotions. So anyway.
Okay. Anyways, the third movement is a scherzo, and I think personally it's the most difficult movement out of the whole work
because it's fast, and again, Lowenthal must have big hands.
He must have,
because you're pushing that minor ninth thing minimally all the time.
Yes, in a lot of places. Now, this movement reminds me of Brahms. It actually reminds me of Brahms. That early scherzo is the E flat minor one.
Yeah.
That's what this reminds me of. I mean, there's even a episode here where the melodically it becomes more, lyrical. It actually does. Interestingly, the last page, and a few other passages, I think. Let me see. No, it's pretty much the last page. Yeah, the last page. You have some. It's in 3/8, but it has some shifting accents. In a lot of ways, kind of reminds me of sort of like a furiant. in a lot of ways.
I
It's
don't know what that is.
accordion. It's a Czechoslovakian dance.
Oh.
It's known for
Huh.
moving the accents, so it gives the illusion of not being in 3 so much, but in 2/4 or something crazy like that.
Interesting.
But anyways, yeah, it's definitely a demanding work. The last movement it almost feels like Saint-Saëns, believe it or not. It does. It feels like Saint-Saëns. I mean, it might have some common ground with the opus. I can't remember the opus number anymore, but there's a work by Saint-Saëns called the Allegro Appassionato,
Oh, yeah.
and almost the same tempo marking.
Mary something. The young lady who was brought to America by Paul Badruscoda and ended up Dosse. Mary something Dosse, D-O-S-S-E.
Oh, yeah!
I
know you're talking. You bought the Saint-Saëns CDs.
collection.
Yeah.
And that piece is in there, yeah.
Oh, gosh. What was her name? I know exactly who you're talking about. I could see her
It
face.
seems like there's something in the middle, but it's Marie Dosse, but something Dosse, right?
Yeah.
I know her from that old cassette tape recording of French Concerti, because she's in 2 or 3 of them. She ended up teaching, I think it was in Pennsylvania and maybe Texas.
Yeah.
And retiring, I think, somewhere in Pennsylvania, up in the Northeast somewhere. But she was brought by Paul Badruscoda when he was teaching at the University of Wisconsin.
Yeah. I don't know. It kind of, it almost has sort of a, I don't know, a foray kind of feel to it. A foray kind of feel.
I see why you're saying this. I definitely see what could be foray, like the ballad writing or something.
Yeah.
I don't know enough of Saint-Saëns solo music to recognize the style. I mean, I know what some of it sounds like, but more for the concerti.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see where you'd say foray. So, definitely East Coast boy.
Yeah. Captain New Jersey.
Did he's executive director of the Settlement Music School in Philadelphia. Okay. Doesn't say it was per se a professor, but wow, he's got a lot of credits in terms of the big major performance ensembles. Oh, like Philadelphia, Milwaukee Symphony. Yeah.
The boy's got street cred.
The Colorado String Quartet. I might have known the players in that when he wrote for them, but he's 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. But anyways, that is the sonata by Robert Campana. I don't make it very much a habit of playing modern works like this, like I should probably. Franz Liszt once said that it is a pianist's duty to learn some of their contemporaries' works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm poor at it, mostly probably because I don't know enough about.
Yeah, but he grew up in a different world.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, the
stuff.
He did. I mean, is it incumbent upon us to learn the Boulez Second Sonata? I mean, it's considered one of the great 20th century comedies.
Yeah, that one.
Professor Wynn played it.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm never going to play it.
That is a lifetime achievement. I mean, if anybody decides to play that, I mean, and we've had a few.
I forget which one it was, but Howard, when he came to play in Madison, which is how we met.
Yeah, Christopher Taylor played it at the Van Cliburn.
Howard played Szymanowski Sonata.
O'Reilly?
Yeah. Szymanowski Sonata of some sort. Yeah. But Yeah, this was too much music, too
Yeah.
much great music. So you
That's
have
a
to.
lot.
But the cool thing is that there's enough that almost nowadays, it's nice that you could become kind of a specialist in a certain area.
You could.
You know, like, I wonder what Yun Chan Lim's going to do. Because, you know, when he went to England, he played Wigmore Hall, right?
Yeah, he did.
He played, was it Joan Dowland, or what was the composer?
It was John Dowland. He
Yeah.
started off with the three-part, the Sinfonias by Bach.
Yeah.
Um,
And then that
Mendelssohn.
young polymath guy, Oriental fella from Southeast Asia or something like that, studied with Brendel.
Yeah.
He's done well. I mean, he's one of those math wild kids, but then played piano really well. He lives in an old abandoned French church that you fixed up at Kin something, right?
I'm sorry?
Kin something. He lives in France.
No.
Yes!
What?
Kenneth Armstrong, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Well, his big thing was the old French school, the clavecinists.
Yeah.
Playing stuff like that, and the English stuff. It's very odd because, you know, when we were growing up, I mean, pretty much J.S. Bach was about as far back as we went, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much, you know, that's a good place to go.
Oh, yeah.
Bach, anytime. But, I mean, there were other great keyboard schools and traditions well before that, both in Italy and in France, and especially also in England, you know.
Yeah.
John Bull and John Dowland, Henry Purcell, Purcell, I guess they call it.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious. Well, now, Yun Chan Lim released the Etudes.
Yeah.
That puts him in the same place with like Polini and who was the first guy that recorded the German?
Bachhaus.
Bachhaus. I wonder where he's going to go with stuff, because he does have a certain. He's the closest thing to an Ignaz Friedman kind of sound and playing.
Yeah.
Not that he played all that repertoire. Friedman, I don't know if he ever played the Rachmaninoff third, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
This just ephemeral at times and just remarkably elastic, and yet pregnant with meaning at any moment. Kind of playing, but you know, Rubinstein played a lot of stuff. When he was younger, and even when he was older, like when he did the Carnegie Hall concerts, he devoted some of that repertoire to what he considered the important 20th century compositions. Then releases much of the on record, played a bunch of stuff, and then a ton of things was written for him. Which he did the Golden Baby pieces of Villalobos, Prokofiev. I think he even wrote stuff for Rubinstein, didn't he?
Stravinsky did.
Stravinsky
wrote the Petrushka.
Well, but he did play the Vision Fugitive.
He did play
the
few.
Rubinstein.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, I have certain composers that I want to do and I want to play. Fortunately, I'm not important enough, and nobody cares. And I'm older. I don't have to kind of play the meat and potatoes all the time, which, but yet, with the present Van Cliburn competition, it seems like that standard meat and potatoes repertoire isn't necessarily hemming people in anymore. In terms of some choices they made of things to play, it's really widening the kind of
It's starting to.
But the reality is, I remember when I was the standard repertoire guide sheet for anybody pretty much in the United States, because they actually wrote it down, was in the doctoral piano program in Ann Arbor, Michigan, University of Michigan. From A to Z, you know, various pieces by all these composers. You should know this stuff, right? You don't have to perform every single thing. But if asked to identify it or to teach it, you should have familiarity with those scores. It was a humongous compendium of pieces. But frankly, you know, in terms of a really super great concert artist like Claudio Rao, I mean, a big one that played a lot of stuff, Rubinstein and Rao, you know, certain Brendel, and And that ideally, a doctor of music from an academic program should be approaching that kind of huge familiarity and ability
Oh yeah.
with that same kind of repertoire. But now it seems like there's so much.
Yeah.
We're already nearly 30 years into the 21st century. That's another question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
These guys you've been bringing in, you know, I know Dahl was a bit earlier.
Yeah.
Because he was about 30s through the
Yeah.
50s kind of thing. But, okay. This guy's presumably still alive. He's only 10 years older than I am. I know they're still teaching composition in the schools. And there's probably, you know, people writing stuff and still doing stuff. But this guy's writing, and I'm talking about something associated with the Second Viennese School in a way. So, not Copland-like writing.
Right.
Or even Roy Harris, so that certain period of American music which goes folksy.
Yeah.
No, but where you get this kind of serious music that's derived from Second Viennese School, which is fundamentally not having anything to do with harmony.
Yeah.
Are careers still being built on this music anymore? Are there composers still writing stuff that sounds like that?
This.
Or, because I don't know. I mean, he listens to every new competition and all that kind of stuff. I necessarily, because of my own fascination for things, I'm in the Wayback Machine, and I've even gone back now that Marston's making stuff, releasing things. I'm listening to music that was being played in the later 19th and early 20th century, which could be called a very different school of, not necessarily the harmonic basis of the music, but the way it was performed and the way it was conceived, you know. That's what I'm really fascinated with, mostly. I think, you know, for example, Brendel, when he played Liszt, he was playing, they thought his Liszt sonata was great. You listen to Liszt students play Liszt, that's a different kind of playing. Different from what Brendel did. Brendel really represents a solid understanding of later 20th century approach to our canon of Western music. But what I wonder with the modern stuff is, do people still get jobs which they can make a living by writing music like this? And I don't mean to be derogatory about it. But you know, there's this intellectual, academic kind of movement. And Ellsworth used to talk about this back in the 90s when I studied with him. He said, in his opinion, because Ellsworth is a huge proponent of avant-garde 20th century music. He built his career on that for 25 years. He played that stuff. He was personal friends with John Cage and Merce Cunningham. And he used to lament, well, and then one of his favorite authors was Gertrude Stein. If you've ever tried to read her, it's really hard to read. She was using ideas from painting and to some less extent music or poetry to write prose. And you know, she's a challenge to get through because she hated punctuation. But Ellsworth was saying, you know, he said, there's an anti-intellectual movement compared to the past. He said, you know, the 50s and 60s, people were rigorous, you know, really rigorous. I mean, it's way out there as the music could sound. It was founded on very rigorous principles of training. I mean, like Ellsworth had foundation. He got training in his bachelor's and master's with Rudolf Verkushny, one of the great earlier mid-20th century pianists. You know, played to the great repertoire. A very wonderful performance of the Schumann Fantasy, for example. But then in his career, he was persuaded very entirely. I mean, it was serious for him. He was seriously devoted, even as a professor when he was doing that work, of teaching people post-World War II contemporary traditions of music. I mean, from what I've seen being released, And I'm not as hip and connected as I would say I once was, but it's also because of my own particular historic interest in things. Do you know, based upon what you're seeing, what you're hearing, can people like this? Is this where the music world is, or are we going more historical? Or because I mean, I look at some of I'll shut up after this, but some of our good great bands like Helen Grimaud.
Okay.
She's I think a strong new one. Then who's the Canadian pianist who the Germans broke her piano, the Fazioli, who plays Bach all the time, the Canadian pianist.
Please.
You know, they broke her piano in Berlin.
Oh, her.
Yeah. But anyway, you guys
I know
probably
who you're
know what I
talking
mean.
about. Yeah.
But certain people like that, I mean, and as I said, Yun Chun Lin strikes me as somebody who's really potentially going to revive the entire pre-Rubinstein era of piano playing. Because those guys back in those days were fascinated with early music.
Yeah.
Godowsky wrote all that Renaissance
music,
which it wasn't. It was more Baroque-ish period, the stuff he wrote. But then Friedman recorded some early music.
Oh, yeah.
They were interested in that stuff and played it. I was surprised when I looked at some of the early 20th century programs that, more so in Europe than here, they were playing pre-J.S. Bach.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't so unusual.
Yeah.
So what's going on? What's happening?
Okay, here's what's happening.
Maybe this should be This should be maybe a totally new category.
Oh, we could.
What's happening, Mr. Elmer?
Okay, well, all right.
Because I don't know.
Okay. All right. Now, as far as the direction classical music is, one of the best places probably to look is at the cinema. The more independent filmmakers are beginning to look at more modernized composers.
You're talking not even really classical, right?
No, well, I'm talking here.
In thrash metal.
Well, no, not thrash metal or garage rock or anything like that. No, nothing like that. The first one that comes to my mind is the horror movie The Conjuring.
Oh.
Okay, now,
those are the stories based on the husband and wife team, right?
Yeah, the husband, Lorraine and Ed Warren. Yeah, they. If you've never seen the movie, watch it at your own risk. It is a scary movie.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's a very, very, very frightening movie. And
this
is based on fact,
true stories.
But one of the cast members is actually the composer to the score, to the soundtrack, and if you listen to it by itself, you would not know it was a soundtrack to this movie. It uses high strings, and there's squeaks, and some of them I would venture to say that the bows are being scraped over the bridge and things like that.
Cool.
And you'll be, if you watch the end credits, you'll be surprised who was the composer. You'll be very surprised. He has a part. Well, I just gave part of the thing. He has a major part in that movie.
Okay.
He has a major part. And apparently they saw him good enough to not only just compose the music, but to play a role in the movie. Now, I also want to direct you to another YouTube channel. Some of you may already know her by her channel. It's called Nare Soul. 2 words. The first one, N as in Nancy, A-H-R-E. Second word, Sol, S-O-L. She has one particular video about classical composers today. And it's quite an interesting episode of hers where she starts introducing composers that she personally knows. They're about roughly 30-ish, 40-ish maybe. And they compose music for not just orchestra, but chamber music. And their music is being performed, not a major orchestras, but nevertheless an orchestra itself. Perhaps it was I don't know if it was a community orchestra or perhaps a university orchestra, but they are being heard. They don't use just the basic orchestra instruments, but they've gone beyond, outside the box, so to speak, to other instruments, folk instruments, electronics, which is not unheard of. We've had that done before, but they're looking for new kinds of sounds, and some of the sounds you'll hear in some of these orchestras on this particular program that she did. The sound is very sparse in a lot of ways. I mean, you'll just hear sounds here, hear a sound here, and somehow they're able to put it together. But even more amazing is how they write these scores. Most of these scores, they don't use staff anymore. Okay, it's not staff. It's something completely different. If anything, they'll have more instructions or shapes, triangles, octagons, whatever, what have you, and somehow they're supposed to interpret that and make it, put it on their instrument somehow. That's a philosophy that's beyond what I understand as music. You'd have to go to an actual composer to find out how they would interpret something like this. Now, as far as composers like Campana himself and the other composers that I brought in for All Pieces Considered, I would imagine that you would probably, in performance, you would probably find more interest in music like this in colleges and universities, music departments. I'm sure they would have a big interest in wanting to hear what something like this sounds like. And I'm sure their composition students and fellow pianists would be interested in hearing what this sounds like. So,
can I say something? So,
sure.
So, I think, for example, I know I try not to get a ton of political news in my Google News feed.
Yeah.
I've specifically engineered it towards arts, music, medicine,
yeah,
science, a lot of other things, architecture. So I get a lot of good musical source stuff. I think the hiring of, what's his name, Gustavo Dudamel.
Dudamel,
yeah. The dude.
Yeah. He's out in California.
Yeah, well, he has been in LA. But he's taking over New York next year. He'll be the director of New York Philharmonic. Because of where he comes from and so forth, he was introducing a lot of, and because of being in LA as well, they introduced a lot of more contemporary Latin composers, including women. There's a lady that he played more than once her symphonic work, but she's the one that wrote the piano piece for the Van Cliburn competition.
Oh yeah,
what's her name?
Gabriel Montero.
Montero, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I saw some things on YouTube as it happens, but they were more recent LA performances, and more than once it was her stuff that they played. And it does seem to me, if you look back at, interestingly, some of the foreign composers who directed the States in the early 20th century, beginning with Koussevitzky, but then also, I'm skipping on his name right now, fabulous musician. He was famous for writing the Bach transcriptions for orchestra. Leopold Stokowski. Also Eugene Ormandy, then who worked with and then followed Stokowski. And then Leonard Bernstein, actually, since he himself was an active composer. There was a period of time when there was a lot of new music that was performed by the orchestra. I mean, this is back in the day when symphony orchestras, they were just something good living. making a lot of money on ticket sales and all that. It seems to me, and this is again not for anything other than noting it per se,
Yeah.
but that women composers have become, have had their works performed
Oh
more
yeah.
recently. I was looking her name up, but I found it. Ellen Tafetsvelig.
Ah, yes.
She
I know
wrote string
that.
chords and stuff. Now, this kind of not exactly, but she's like from the same kind of period of Elliot Carter.
Yeah, I have one of her works.
Serious stuff.
Yeah.
I was looking at different people, but then more recent work that gained quite a bit of notoriety and worth it, I guess. I haven't bought the recording yet because I wanted the price to know. Is that Fire in My Mouth by Julia Wolf. And then there's these Hispanic people, sometimes women.
Uh-huh.
And then I was thinking she just died recently. So Sophia Kabaidalina.
Yeah.
Wow, there was a serious.
Yeah.
I mean, she was not friendly really with the Soviets. She was always antagonistic, but she grew up in that period, and
Yeah.
they did train some really serious people, composers and musicians. I mean, Richter came out of that, and he didn't like him either, but he survived and lived in that world.
Yeah.
Rusky's really well trained and honed in the hardness of that culture, I think, in a way. But yeah, I think it's an open question. I don't think there's any specific answer. I do agree. And where there was in the academic world, in the communities in which they flowered, there's often a great marriage between the university and the town or city that it lived in. And the people in a place like that, a certain portion of the population is generally inclined towards a more intelligent and open-minded approach to things. I'm just curious because I don't want to get into the whole big politics thing.
Yeah.
But given even when Ellsworth was saying this to me in the 90s, he said, he was looking at life and just said things are different. He said he was a gay man. He said, he was never like, well, he was totally out and comfortable with himself.
Yeah.
But he never necessarily credited Stonewall for that, which is late 60s, right? But he, came of age in the 50s and the 60s and, was who he was during all that period of time. But one might assume that also that the homosexual community was freer to some extent to be themselves in the academic world, right? Yeah. Or the artistic world.
Yeah.
It seems to me right now there's quite a reactionary kind of attitude towards things.
Yeah.
So that made me wonder about stuff that pushes the limits, really out there. Like, who's that? The Lydian String Quartet I became so excited about.
Yeah.
Way back when we were talking about Charles Ives and stuff, and I found some recordings of theirs, and then they also did some more standard repertoire. Yeah. But I loved this, the original sound of this Lydian String Quartet. I think it was originally a 70s ensemble that I first heard. Yeah. They were at Amherst for the longest time. I think they were hired on, but then just recently I think they were released because there were some cuts made by the university or something. And they just hired a new first violinist from San Francisco. Huh. I'm sure they're still going to exist, but they have been in residence for some time, and I loved them so much. Just the sound of that quartet and the way they played. I bought a number of things, and it's not Kronos Quartet out there kind of stuff, but it just makes me wonder. Maybe it's just worth talking about once in a while. Yeah. I like that. What did we say could be a new one? Like, what's up, Mr. Elmer?
What's up, Mr. Elmer?
Yeah, what's up, Mr. Elmer? Like, what's happening? No, what's happening?
What's happening?
What's happening, Mr. Elmer? Like, about the whole contemporary music scene. Because I'm not a guy who really knows it or participates in it as much as I might have been in the past. When I worked with Ellsworth, and for a period of time I did play a lot of contemporary stuff, and I did things with people. And I'm older, I'm on my own, I'm not really associated at the university, and really quite old-fashioned kind of approach to making music, but learning it and doing it. And for me, there's not a lot of substitutes. I'm enjoying really teaching little kids and all that stuff, but I really am. But if you're going to get serious about it, let me know.
Yeah.
And I can show you how to do it. It's like when I had a student that the university over there had received an invitation for a piano competition in Lithuania.
Wow.
She said they came to the department, and I thought, well, there's one student that could do it, but I told her about it. And I said, it's entirely up to you. She read about it, looked at it, and said, I think I'd like to do it. Part of it was the excitement about going somewhere and being able to do something. I didn't anticipate she was going to win, because she wasn't really at that kind of a level, but she's smart, she's decent, really more than decent on the piano. But I told her, I said, you're going to do this, you're going to do it, which means you're going to make a commitment, you're going to make a commitment to you and to me, and it's going to happen. Then I'm going to become the most ferocious tennis coach you've ever had in your life. I'm going to be all over you, on your behind all the time, driving you. You're going to have to get, before you go to that competition, you need to go from here to there in 3 months. And if you make that, then I will tell the university, okay, we're going to take you to the competition. If you don't make that 3 month deadline, I'm not going to work with you. She's my student. I won't participate in it, because it'll be an embarrassment for everybody, and you're going to fall flat on your face. She ended up doing pretty well. She had a good experience. Chinese judge came back to talk to her, just to see, who are you and what are you doing. The repertoire level of where she was and where she played wasn't at the same as the big guns. It wasn't like a international huge competition like the Van Clive. They weren't all that old or that good, but it was up there. And she held her own. I was very proud for her. She got to play at Imperial Bersendorfer Grand for the first time in her life in a really well-built hall. We didn't have facilities quite like that in Cyprus. And I remember when she sat down and started playing, and she looked back and said, "Sir, it's so beautiful." Just playing it and the sound in the hall and everything. I said, yeah, that's kind of what the real world's like.
It is kind of scary. It is kind of scary.
But I was proud of her. She held her crap together and made it through. Anyway, I think that would be an interesting segment. What are we talking about? The contemporary music scene.
Yeah, we'll come up with a name.
Because I can always bore people to death with historical information and go into minute, hairy details.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But I don't know so much about this, and I do appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I think it's helpful when you look at the music and you explain how try to grasp it, and get your head around it or something. That's cool.
But anyways, this ends this segment of All Pieces Considered. You want to have a little? Well, it's been an hour and 52 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
What else you got?
Okay, well, all right. Let's have a little fun. I just brought this just for kicks. My wife found this.
Oh.
It's a children's book.
Is this a section?
Well, it could be. I don't know. All right, could you be?
What's that treasure?
Yeah, I know. High Plains Drifter.
Yeah, High Plains Drifter.
High Plains Drifter.
Hey guys, get to wear hat.
We're on? Oh, good. Yeah, I see them. I can almost see you. Okay, anyways. This is a children's book my wife found. And it's called The Heroic Symphony.
Wow.
So it's basically a children's version of how the Beethoven's Heroic Symphony came to be.
Oh, wow.
It even comes with a CD.
So he's talking about the Eroica, the third symphony.
Yeah. It even comes with a CD. It's a London CD of the Eroica Symphony No. 3, conducted by Sir George Solti.
Woo.
Conducting the Chicago Symphony
Orchestra. That's a good record to have.
Yes. It also
This
has
stuff is expensive to come by with the Chicago years.
It also has the Egmont Overture.
Woo!
This was written by Anna Harwell Celenza or Celenza, and I see her holding an instrument. It looks like a Renaissance instrument, or yeah, that's what it looks like. She received her PhD in musicology from Duke University and is an associate professor at Michigan State University.
I've never heard.
She teaches a music history course for local children.
Oh.
Anna is the author. Oh, apparently there's more books like this. She is the author of The Farewell Symphony.
That's heightened.
And Pictures at an Exhibition. She lives in Michigan with her husband, Christopher.
Wow.
This book was illustrated by one Joanne E. Kitchell. She has illustrated several children's books over the past decade, including The Farewell Symphony and the Pictures at an Exhibition. It's not getting harder to say. But anyways, it's cute. I'll let you look at it. This is the front cover. I have not found the other two books yet, but there's a picture of Beethoven.
Oh.
So it's a children's book. It's there without all the gory violence or anything.
Well, I'm surprised at the number of the kids that I'm teaching who are really quite committed to their piano study and everything.
Wow.
They don't necessarily come from it, from listening to it.
Yeah.
And they don't know the history or the culture that well.
Yeah.
A number of my students are South Asian.
Uh-huh.
I have an Egyptian family, but Anglo-European kids, not so many of them as the others. But these kids are sharp as a tack.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Very devoted and really quite, working hard at what they do. In a lovely way. I mean, really devoted kids. But something like this would be nice to have. Some things like this just for kids to look at in the waiting room.
Yeah.
When they're waiting to have their lesson.
Friendly pictures.
I'm going to mention this to the Powell Academy.
Okay.
About some ideas like this, because I just help them. Most everybody, it's interesting, as far around the world as you go, pretty much everybody knows Beethoven.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then I mentioned Mozart, Schubert, Chopin. No. But then that reminds me of when Hyun Jim, he's a classical guitar professor at the University of Cyprus.
Yeah.
He was going to teach one of those music courses for all the students on the campus.
Yeah, he's a guy.
And it was the history of rock.
Oh,
or
wow.
Modern music, but as rock music. Yeah. And he wanted to go back to the beginning. So he started, and he said, well, we're going to start with, the king of rock, Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
And it's interesting parts of the world where you are in various reasons. Yeah. Now, this was on the Turkish side of Cyprus, at Famagusta. It's a good university in Turkey. I mean, it's not anything really close to most American schools or anything, but it was good what they did. And had a lot of foreign faculty members teaching and doing the best they could, and the kids were brought in and meant to be at, more or less European standards and things as we developed them and so forth. But that doesn't mean that their backgrounds were the same as Europe or America. What Hyun Jin was really surprised by is, I know he had a class, I think it was like 30 some of them in there.
Okay.
And he said, we're going to start with Elvis Presley. And he thought, oh, right, that's really great. We love Elvis.
Yeah.
No, the response was, it was Elvis Presley.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Didn't know Elvis
30 kids?
Yeah, these are kids in, let's say, 2012 who were maybe 18 years old, so they were born in
the 90s.
In the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Eugene saw me that night after the class. I smoked nargila, the Turkish water pipe, and he smoked his cigarettes.
Yeah.
And we were sitting having some coffee and smoking, and he said, man, he said, He said, I really am living somewhere else in the world, at the end of the world. He said, I think even the North Koreans know who Elvis was. He was South Korean. And, but he taught him, you know, and he said after the first week, they wanted to download everything about Elvis.
Elvis?
Like, oh my God, this guy is amazing. You
Yeah.
know? And he said some of the boys started to do their hair and wear the pants rolled
Pants,
up
really?
with the shoes and the loafers. Just, you know, they were looking like Elvis. And
Yeah.
why did I talk? Oh, because the history.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea about maybe just putting a few books out just for the kids to look at. Put some simple picture books about the history and stuff.
Oh, I'll tell you what's also interesting. Kathy's been able to obtain some pictures of composers to color.
Ooh.
You know, maybe a featured composer every week to color.
Wow.
Or a month. You know, hand out crayons.
You know, one of my newer students is a 50-year-old emergency room doctor who's just really gotten serious into it. His other two kids are studying.
Yeah.
I think the mom's not in the picture anymore. I'm not sure what all that's about, but he gets to be with his kids, you know, and stuff, and they all come to music lesson together, so he decided really serious. And one of the things he's been doing is he wanted me to give him some recommendations of what to listen to on Spotify.
Huh.
So I've been telling him about some, and he's really totally open. So interestingly, I told him so far they'll have Kemp, Claudio Aurora, Alfred Brendel. I don't know if there was another one as well, but I was figuring these guys are just old enough and copyright free enough that you can usually get access to their recordings pretty well. And what I was focused on, not entirely with Brendel, but because of the mastery and the conviction of his recordings, but with Raoul and the Kemp, just the beauty of the sound of the playing. Mm-hmm. And he writes just little things down. So I'm going to listen. And he played the dee da 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 simple piece for the piano. I said, you know about the Dvorak? And he said, I feel like I know the name. I said, you know, he came to America and went to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and was there for a while. Used American folk tunes and hymn tunes and stuff. And that this Ninth Symphony, the last one he wrote, is about America. Yeah. And I said, you should listen to it. So I wrote that down. So part of our responsibility, and that's what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we get into hairy details about stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
But maybe it wouldn't hurt if we just picked a famous composer once in a while, we did earlier on.
Yeah, we used to do that.
Because we've become more focused as we talked about the whole iceberg.
Yeah.
Where 2/3 to 3/4 or more of it is underwater.
Yeah.
And that the entire musical world that we attempt to represent or talk about or anything, we figure you can find a lot of the stuff about what's on top of the iceberg on your own. Maybe we should talk about it.
Yeah, we should.
But we've really focused a lot on the folks living on the dark side of the iceberg. You know, it was like Elmer and me.
Yeah.
You know, we've carved out places for ourselves. We work really hard. We're very serious about what we do. Yeah. We make our living at this. Yeah. As tons of musicians have in the past who are died and gone and forgotten. But, you know, in terms of what they... And we're talking about the ones that really made a dent in their communities and stuff, as we have. And, you know, there's certain people that will remember us for a while and stuff after we're gone. But we try to represent all of that, the passion and the conviction, maybe try to help folks understand why we do this.
Yes.
And why we're committed to it. So the nice thing is it's a huge, endlessly huge world. You can go in all kinds of directions and talk about all kinds of people.
Absolutely.
All kinds of music. It's endless, the resources, fortunately.
Yeah.
So, is that it? Is that it?
I think so. It's 2 hours and 3 minutes.
Okay.
We're good.
So we're talking a little bit, but part of it is we're not doing the weekly shows.
Yeah. Well,
and that's because of our lives and schedules this year. By the way, we won't do one probably at least for another 2 weeks.
2 weeks
at most. Next week I'm going to have surgery. I fell in October. I think I told you guys at some point. Finally, the insurance said, we want you to go, because the x-ray said, your bones are fine. But the insurance sent me in March, from March on, I think I had it done in April, to see a specialist and have an MRI done. I don't advise that. It's a horrendous experience. But what they did find is that the rotator cuff and the medial, what's this called? The bicep tendon are completely ripped away from the bone. Which is why even with physical therapy, I'm starting to get more strength back and movement, but I had limitations on what I could do here.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, I quit practicing the piano in January because for a while I had very little lateral movement.
Yeah.
I'm still playing the organ, but the organ is a 1920s organ, so it's not a tracker thing. It doesn't take anything to move the keys. Piano, though, you need muscle and movement, and I haven't been able to do it. I'm kind of really missing it. So I finally went to see the surgeon who's going to do me next week. And I've been reassured by actually my emergency room student. Oh, I know Dr. Long. He's really good. Really down to earth guy. And it just reinforced what I felt about him when I met him. He's a really, really cool guy. I don't know if he's even quite as old as I am, but might be somewhere in the area. Done thousands of them. All he does is shoulders. But they're going to do arthroscopic surgery, so they're going to make little incisions and go in with their little microscopes and sew me back together. But then, interestingly, I got a bit of a bone thing going on in the clavicle, which is arthritic and would potentially get worse and rough. So they're going to shave some of the bone.
Really?
Which is why he told me, he said, we're going to do this kind of immediate, they affect it with ultrasound somehow, but it puts the nerves to sleep. Then they're going to totally put me out. For the first time as an adult, I'm going to be completely under anesthesia.
Yeah.
And he said, eventually that nerve quieting kind of thing will die off at the end of the day or end of the night. He said, and then we're going to prescribe for you some serious narcotic medicine.
Oh, God!
Because he said that bone shaving thing, you're going to feel that.
Oh,
so I guess for a couple of days or whatever afterwards, I'm not allowed to drive. I'm not supposed to really do much.
well, I'm sure it's going to hurt if you
And
drive.
I might be in a sling when you see me on the show. But the cool thing is, he said I'm not wedded to it. I can take it out. On the fourth day after surgery, I can start taking a shower again. So it might be a little stinky for a couple days. But and I may or may not have my arm in a sling, but he said I can take it out and do some things a little bit. And he encouraged me, not immediately, but to do some of my easier exercises to move and stuff. And eventually I can start doing resistance, and he'll send me to physical therapy. But I'm a little nervous about the anesthesia thing, but I'm really excited about getting the surgery done and healing from all this, because I really miss playing it. There's repertoire I want to get to, and at my age, I'm 63. Cool thing actually that the surgeon said to me when he looked at the MRI with me and told me what was going wrong and what they were going to do. He said, if you're an old man, like 80 or something, I'd probably tell you to take some occasional shots and live with it until you die.
Yeah.
They say to me, since you're young and healthy, maybe it's, But he said, since you're young and healthy, I strongly advise that you do the surgery.
Okay.
Because he said the problem is with the complete tear, over time it will atrophy and the muscles will kind of get weak because they're not connected.
Yeah, they're not,
And he said, and then at some point you're going to have to have a complete shoulder replacement. And when he told me that, no way. So let's do this surgery. Let's get this done.
Yeah.
So the cool thing is, he said when they find a lot now when they do this reconstructive where they put the tissues together.
Yeah.
Because some of the tendon is on the bone in both cases,
yeah.
and they're going to sew the torn part to the stuff that's there.
Yeah.
I forget there's a word they have for it, but basically it encourages the cells to start to communicate.
Yeah.
And they
heal together.
Heal together again.
Yeah. It'll be like, hey, long time no see.
There you go. So. He actually told me he thought in a month or so after they take the sling off, I could start to play a bit. And he played French horn, so he said, you know, Mozart, Haydn, maybe some easier Chopin. I said, so no Lester Brown? He said, no. That's later this year, maybe, but because, you know, all that. But he did suggest, you know, 3 to 6 months, I should be back in good form. I'm frankly really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Because it's been too long. It's one thing to take a vacation, I suppose, which I seldom ever did.
Yeah.
But to be forcibly stopped, it's kind of torture, a little bit. Been able to listen to other people, and then it's good because in many cases I listen, I think, well, how would I play it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
well,
anyway.
folks, if you enjoyed our program today, please comment, like, and subscribe.
Yeah, we have our YouTube page and then a corresponding Facebook page.
Yes, Facebook. Yes. Come back and find out what we've been reading and playing and listening to
Yeah.
in our next episode, okay?
Yeah.
This is...
I'm Dr. Mark, Mr. Mark.
I'm Elmer.
Mr. Elmer.
And we are Marc
and
Elmer's
PSI. Piano Scene
Investigations.
Investigations. Say bye, boy.
Bye! Goodbye! Bye! Bye! See you next time.
See ya.